Hello, beautiful souls. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, I'm so grateful you found this space. And if you have been with me for a while, welcome back to all of you. And I just want to say, I hope you guys have been enjoying the discourses that I have been creating lately. So, this is a place of remembrance, of guidance, and of love on the twin flame journey. And before we begin, I always share a few gentle rules for this sacred space. So, number one, come with an open heart, receive what resonates, and if something doesn't, simply let it pass. Number two, remember this journey is never about chasing or obsession, it's about healing, empowerment, and divine remembrance. And number three, please do not probe. You know, my do not I mean, sometimes it's from a good place, it's out of curiosity, but really sometimes it's like I'm here to teach what I get from my higher self, my opinion on matters. So I'll just ask you from my heart, do not probe into my personal life. Our union is sacred and confidential, so not to be dissected publicly. So, my divine masculine and I share many confidential missions, and this channel is dedicated to teachings and the guidance, not to the details of my private journey. Of course, I do share details here and there, but it's not, you see, the focus is not on my journey. It's about, you know, my purpose of helping, right? So I'll only share what I consciously choose to share, and I ask that you honor the same for others too. And in the comments, if someone asks for assistance, offer support with kindness. And some of you are very, very generous in sharing your own experience to help one another, really going above and beyond. And that support is deeply appreciated. Like, truly, like someone's struggling there, and then you guys share your own experience. That is so beautiful, sharing tips, because you're building this safe community, where it's not about, probing or judging or scrutinizing. So hold this place with reverence and respect, which I ask very humbly, because, at the end of the day, we are here to share. When you share about your journeys, it comes from a place of empowerment and support. Of course, there will be people trying to, they don't come in with the right intentions. And as a clairvoyant, I see it quite immediately. So, you know where I'm coming from with that, right? So, it's about boundaries. And always people asking, I'm a clairvoyant, all of my wisdom, all that I create for you comes from within, comes from my higher self, comes from directly from cosmic consciousness, and it's my own opinion of things, and also from my own experience that I've worked with thousands of clients in the last decade. So it comes from that place of wisdom, right? And then lastly, listen with presence. Allow these words to move slowly through you, like medicine for your soul. And that's why I say usually my discourses are multi-layered. For some, it's just the words I'm speaking. For some, they can feel the transmissions, the codes. For some, it's all about inspiring your own journey. See, at the end of the day, the reason why I'm sharing, see, for a very long time I never shared any of my videos publicly. Only since 2023 I've shared my content publicly. If not, it's in a private group. And the reason why is because if anything would happen to me, at least generations after will be able to tap onto my wisdom. And it comes from a place to remind you that everything is within you. My discourses are meant to inspire you to find your own journey. Remember, the power is always within. Always have your own sacred connection with God, with cosmic consciousness, and then you will realize that everything flows and everything is is beautiful in that regard. So, yes, all the knowledge comes from within. And I really thank my higher self and God for, giving me this platform to share with you guys. All right, so today we will enter into a conversation that is not about techniques or strategies, but about the deepest truths of love, intimacy, and soul connection. So that's why the title I've chosen for this discourse is Why Connection Flows and Stops, and the energetic intimacy of monadic twin flames. So we're going to talk about the energy of intimacy in the monadic twin flame journey, but beneath that there's something deeper, the mystery of monadic twin flames. We live in a world that teaches us that intimacy is mechanical, that closeness is about action, technique, and performance. But if you have been touched in your soul, not just your body, you know this is not true. You know that intimacy is not something you do, intimacy is something that happens to you. And yet, intimacy does not always stay. Sometimes the current rises like a river, carrying you for hours, making you feel that the whole universe is flowing through your body, and then without warning, the current stops. It is gone, and you're left in silence, wondering if it was ever real or if you only imagined it. So, today I want to take you into that silence. I want to explain why intimacy flows, why it suddenly stops, and how we can live through these rhythms without collapsing into despair. So, the reason why I decided to create this discourse for you is, again, when you are in separation, we often feel our divine counterpart, our divine masculine, energetically, and there's a lot of intimacy in the 5D. And often a part of you would always think it's your imagination, wishful thinking, and your DM is probably only thinking that. So lately, because I've been developing discourses in this area, I just wanted to go deeper into the intimacy part. So the reason is, our divine masculines, when we are in separation, tend to cut us off in the 3D, but are very, very intimate and loving in the 5D. And often, because of the rejection in 3D, we think that this is wishful thinking. And our divine masculine himself is convinced that he's fantasizing you or imagining you. So when you draw boundaries, he starts to feel the ripple effects. So that's why I wanted to talk about intimacy as a two-way current. The first truth we must face is this: intimacy is not a solo act. It's not one person giving and the other receiving. Intimacy is a two-field current in a monadic twin flame journey anchored by the third energy. So, when you and your divine counterpart open at once, when your heart and his heart merge, and when both your bodies soften and allow your natural energy to flow, something happens. A living current is born. And you have felt this. We all feel this at some point. Even when you are in union, if you are apart, you might feel this. So it cannot be faked. It cannot be imitated. It is alive, undeniable, even if the world calls it imagination. But because it is a two-way current, it cannot be forced. So no matter how much you love, no matter how much you desire, you cannot make the current flow by willpower alone. If you open and the other side, your divine masculine side, is closed, the current is blocked, and vice versa. And if your divine masculine were to open, stay open, and you are closed, it's also blocked. The current rises only when both of us, me and my divine masculine, you and your divine masculine, open up the current. And this is why intimacy feels like a miracle, because it depends on the both of you aligning at the same moment. And why does this current sometimes stop? So what happens after the miracle? Why does the current not always last? Why can you be carried for, why can you be like feeling like, that you're carrying intimacy for, like, example, like 2 hours, floating in intimacy, and then suddenly it disappears? There are four main reasons. First, energetic saturation. Intimacy is not just physical, it is a flood of emotional and spiritual energy. Sometimes your divine masculine system simply cannot hold more, or your system can't hold more, and either one of you need to retreat, to integrate, to recover. Second, fear and shame. Intimacy is the most vulnerable place we can enter when the walls fall, when the soul is naked and fear can rise. So this is why sometimes you may feel like, hey, what is going on? Like, why are you feeling the way you're feeling? Like, what exactly is happening? And you might start to notice, like, why am I feeling this way? So, like I said, you know, with the whole intimacy as a two-way current, like I had mentioned, only when both sides open up simultaneously, and that's why this intimacy feels like a miracle. And because again, like I mentioned earlier, the alignment of both of you, and like as I was talking about the reasons why the current sometimes stops, right? As I was delving deeper into fear and shame, and how intimacy is the most vulnerable place we can enter, when the walls fall, when the soul is like totally vulnerable, fear can rise. Your divine masculine may suddenly feel too exposed, too vulnerable, too seen. He may pull back, not because the intimacy was false, but because it was too real. And often and then an experiment would be like, when you are feeling intimacy coming through and you're telling your DM, nope, not today, then you will start to feel his energies recede and the panic, like, because all this while he's thinking it's imagination, right? And then suddenly you're asking him to stop. Third, external noise. Intimacy is fragile. Words of others, envy, projections, even unconscious judgments can enter the field. Especially, you know, if one of you, if your divine masculine is unprotected, this outside energy can disrupt the current in the third energy field. And fourthly, spiritual resistance. The closer you come to true union, the more shadows rise to block them. Oh, karma, past wounds, ancestral interference, not so good energies, matrix, these forces resist the light. The sudden stop is not always personal, it can be the resistance of the unseen. So, when the current stops, it is not proof that intimacy was fake, it is proof that it was real. It triggered all the forces that could yet hold it. So, how do you protect yourself when it stops, right? So, now the question, what do you do when the current stops? How do you protect yourself from feeling abandoned, humiliated, or erased? The first step is to detach the flow from your self worth. When the current vanishes, it's not you being rejected, it is the field collapsing. You must separate the energy event from your identity. The second step is to anchor into your own energy. And when you do that, you would notice that you start to feel more and more and more of your self worth, right? And when you anchor your own energy, and when the current stops, you breathe into your own body, you start feeling your own heart. Remind yourself, I am whole even when the current fades. And that's the reason why it is so important that what is going on with you is so essential to be expanded in terms of discussion and thought. So, another major thing I wanted to talk about before moving on to the next part is you might all feel like, hey, the biggest thing is you need to test the field a little for you to build your own confidence into what is actually going on. Sometimes you really think, especially when you are in bolts and bolts of separation, you would always tend to think that, hey, I'm feeling this way because my divine masculine is not talking to me, he has blocked me, has cut me off. But the reality is, it's always a two-way street, because as Monadic Twin Flames, we can never quite be disconnected. And that's why the third step is to hold a sacred boundary. Do not chase the current, do not beg for it to return, do not collapse into self blame either. Protect your field, let the wave rise and fall, knowing that the ocean itself has now disappeared. So that's why when we go deeper, some of you, the intimacy you feel is not ordinary, it's not casual, it's not even karmic. It belongs to the mystery of Monadic Twin Flames. Twin flames are not two random people falling in love. We are two emanations of the same monad, split into two in the cosmic eggs, divine feminine and divine masculine, and one spark carries more of the masculine and the other more of the feminine, but both are the same fire. That's why we identify, like I identify as the divine feminine and my divine masculine is the divine masculine, right? So this is why the intimacy feels like transcendence. When we connect with our divine masculine, you're not just two humans sharing pleasure. You are one soul remembering itself, and the ecstasy is the memory of unity. But this is also why the separation feels unbearable, because when the current stops, you're not just losing a lover, you're reliving the ancient split of your own soul. The pain is not only present day, it's cosmic. And this explains the pattern: closeness, retreat. The monad is forcing each half to grow, to burn away the illusion, to strengthen on its own until union can happen without collapse. The waves are not punishment, they are preparation. No. That's why I really wanted to delve deeper into the anatomy of the twin flame field. But before that, I also wanted to, wrap this part of the discourse. When intimacy rises, receive it. When it stops, do not collapse. But remember that you're not the mercy of your divine masculine swim. You're living the rhythm of a soul bond that is older than time, and the flow is remembrance. The stop is purification. You see, and when we go into the anatomy of the twin flame field, what is it that makes this connection so different from ordinary love? Why does it carry such intensity, such fire, such sweetness, and such pain? At the human level, we see two bodies, two minds, two personalities. But at the energetic level, the field is very different. When twin flames come near each other, we do not create a new connection. We reactivate an ancient one. Our energy fields recognize each other immediately, like two magnets drawn into alignment. So that's the reason why at the heart of the twin flame bond is the shared monadic spark, the one soul that's split into two polarities. So that's the reason why when we meet our divine masculine, that original unity begins to remember itself. The current of energy you feel between you is not imagination. It is the soul attempting union with itself. This is why the bond is extreme. When you are together, the field is radiant, ecstatic, and unexplainable. When you are apart, the field feels torn, like your very soul is bleeding. It is not because you're weak, it is because your nervous system is struggling to carry the voltage of such high resonance. Think of it this way: twin flame field is like electricity running through a wire. If the wire is too thin, it will burn out. The same is true for us. Until our bodies, hearts, and minds have expanded enough to hold the full voltage of union, the connection will surge, then collapse, then surge again. So that's why when our divine masculine retreats, when the intimacy shuts down, it is not because our DM does not love us anymore. It is because our system and his system cannot hold the voltage yet, which is the combined system, of course, the combined energy field. And when you collapse into despair, it is not because you're unworthy, it's because you are learning to expand your capacity to hold such fire. So the anatomy of twin flame field is two polarities in the cosmic ache, remembering itself. So every wave of union and separation is the soul stretching, building, preparing to hold the full charge of divine union. So now let us turn the wound that breaks so many hearts, the wound of abandonment. When the current stops, when the other, when your divine masculine pulls away, the first feeling that rises is abandonment. You feel discarded, forgotten, erased. It feels like humiliation, like betrayal, like death itself. But here's the secret: abandonment is the doorway to empowerment. When the current disappears, you have two choices. You can collapse into victimhood, begging for your divine masculine to return, or you can step into sovereignty. You can claim your own life. Abandonment shows where you've attached your worth to your divine masculine's presence. Empowerment comes when you reclaim that worth as your own. So that's why when your divine masculine disappears, instead of asking, why did he leave me? You begin to question, what in me still believes I am complete without him? This question is not about blame, it's about liberation. You transmute abandonment by seeing it for what it is, an invitation to stand fully in your own essence, to realize that even if your divine masculine is silent, even if the current is gone, you're still divine, it's still whole. Empowerment is not about rejecting your divine masculine, it's about pretending. It's also not about pretending you do not care. It's about anchoring into yourself so deeply that when your divine masculine returns, you meet them as an equal, not as someone for starving for his presence. All right? That's why every cycle of abandonment is secretly a cycle of empowerment. If you choose to stand instead of collapse, you will notice huge differences. So that's why finally I wanted to speak about how we can stabilize your energy while allowing the bond to evolve. So now let us speak of practice, because teachings without embodiment will not carry you through the storm. So there are three practices I recommend to stabilize your energy while allowing the bond to evolve. First, the practice of anchoring breathing. When the current stops, immediately bring your attention back to your body. Inhale slowly and exhale fully. Place your hand on your heart and repeat silently, I'm whole, I'm safe, I'm loved. And this breaks the spiral of panic and roots you in presence. Second, the practice of self recognition. The practice of bringing the focus to yourself. When abandonment wounds rise, touch your own body with reverence. Place your hands on your shoulders, arms, face, whisper to yourself the words you long to hear, like, I will not leave you, I'll not abandon you, I'm here. This rewrites the nervous system, teaching it that you can be your own anchor. Third, this is something that I would say, go with the flow with it. Thirdly, once you recognize what's going on, you can anchor this within and you can start to feel a deeper connection with cosmic consciousness. So this will help you to balance your energetic sovereignty. So that's why, to all of you beautiful souls, The anatomy of the twin flame field shows us why the current flows and why it stops. The wound of abandonment teaches us to step into empowerment, and the practices of sovereignty allows us to remain whole, even as the bond evolves. So do not despair when intimacy vanishes. Do not collapse when your divine masculine retreats. These are not endings, these are initiations. The flow is remembrance, the stop is purification, and both are sacred. Remember, you are not alone. You're walking the path of the twin flame journey, and every wave, every silence, every collapse is leading you closer to you reunion than ever before. So breathe, everyone. Anchor, stand, and remember the current may vanish and the ocean will remain. And with that, thank you for being here. If this teaching spoke to you, to your heart, please like, share, and subscribe so more beautiful souls can find these discourses. And if you're called to go deeper, you can book a private session with me. And all my sessions are conducted by me live, one on one. All right, and the links are always in description. And of course, come join. You can join me on Instagram and TikTok as well. And if you guys are drawn to my healings, you can check out. I introduced a couple of new healings, so you can check them out as well. They will be able to aid you in your journey. So with that, I'll see you all again. Take care and stay radiant, stay anchored, and remember, your DM is always there with you. And separation can be the greatest gift in the journey, because it truly purges everything out of us. And stable union, oh, it's where you can truly expand, evolve, and co create. All right, take care and see you all soon.